Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Treasure Hunters, Coin Lovers, and History Buffs. You've just tuned into one of the most fascinating corners of the internet, where the smallest objects can hold the greatest secrets, and sometimes, incredible value. Today, we're turning our magnifying glass on one of the most collected coins in American history, the United States 1-cent coin, featuring none other than President Abraham Lincoln. But not just any Lincoln penny. This is a coin with a story, a coin with mystery, history, and perhaps, a hidden fortune. We're diving into the remarkable 2009 Lincoln penny, specifically, those minted with special mint marks. You won't believe what makes these coins stand out, how to identify the rarest of the rare, and just how much one of these humble pennies could be worth in the collector's world. This isn't just about pocket change. This is about legacy, history, design, era varieties, and the thrill of finding a life-changing coin in the most unexpected place, maybe even in your own home. Let's begin with the story behind this unique penny. 2009 wasn't just any year in the world of U.S. coinage. It marked the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent itself. That's right, Lincoln first appeared on the penny in 1909, and 100 years later, the United States Mint decided to honor both milestones with something truly special. Instead of just issuing the regular Lincoln Memorial reverse that collectors and the public had come to expect, the Mint released 4 different reverse designs, each representing a different stage of Lincoln's life. The first design shows a young Lincoln reading while sitting on a log. This represents his humble beginnings in Kentucky and Indiana. The second design is called the Formative Years, and shows Lincoln as a young man in Indiana, working as a rail splitter and learning carpentry skills. This is a snapshot of the future president before anyone knew his name. The third reverse shows Lincoln in front of a store in Illinois, symbolizing his early adult years as a businessman and learner, a self-made man on the rise. The fourth and final reverse captures Lincoln as president in front of the U.S. Capitol, a fitting end to the series and a salute to his leadership during the nation's most difficult period. Now, all of these coins were minted in large numbers. So you might be thinking, if there are millions out there, how could any of them be valuable? Great question. The answer lies in 3 key things: condition, mint mark, and rarity due to errors or special variations. Let's talk about mint marks. These small letters can make a massive difference in the world of coin collecting. For the 2009 pennies, the mint marks you'll see include P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. While coins from Philadelphia and Denver were intended for circulation, the ones with the S mint mark were made for collectors, proof coins, struck with higher detail and a mirror-like finish. But here's the thing, within these mint marks, not all coins are created equal. Some Denver and Philadelphia coins have been discovered with stunning errors, double dies, misaligned strikes, off-center images, and even die cracks. Each of these mistakes makes the coin rarer and more desirable. Some of the most valuable finds came from the Formative Years design, especially those with doubled fingers or other doubling features. These are not easily visible to the naked eye, which makes them all the more exciting to discover with a loupe or magnifying glass. Imagine finding what looks like an ordinary penny, only to realize it has a doubled thumb on Lincoln's hand. That seemingly tiny difference can change a coin's value from 1 cent to several $100s. And in a few incredibly rare cases, much more. Now, you may be wondering, why is the 2009 penny, a relatively modern coin, commanding so much attention? Why would collectors be willing to pay a premium for a coin most people walk past every day? It comes down to a few key reasons. First, it's historic. No other penny in U.S. history has been issued with 4 reverse designs in a single year. That alone makes it a milestone in American numismatics. Second, it's transitional. In 2010, the Lincoln cent design changed again, this time to feature the Union Shield, which is still in use today. That means the 2009 pennies are a 1-year-only series, and collectors absolutely love 1-year issues. They're unique, limited, and easy to assemble into a complete set, except when you start throwing in the rare varieties. Third, and most importantly, it's the chase. The thrill of hunting for rare coins is what drives so many collectors to search through rolls of pennies, estate sales, flea markets, and old coin jars. That chase has paid off big for a few lucky individuals who discovered errors and variations that changed their collections and their lives. Let's talk about condition. If you've got a 2009 penny that looks new, shiny, and free from scratches, it could be in what collectors call mint state condition. These coins are graded on a 70-point scale. The closer to 70, the better. Coins graded MS67, MS68, or higher can fetch premium prices, especially if they also happen to be error coins or come from limited runs with a special mint mark. Add a minting error on top of that, and you could be sitting on something extraordinary. Here's a little insider secret: some of these coins never made it into general circulation. They were snapped up quickly by collectors or kept in pristine rolls. If you happen to have one of these untouched coins, or better yet, a proof coin with the S mint mark, check it for details, doubling, or anything unusual. Collectors will pay huge premiums for uncirculated coins with unique traits. And yes, the prices can vary wildly, depending on demand, rarity, and the overall condition. There have been confirmed auctions where these 2009 Lincoln cents, particularly error coins or perfectly preserved specimens, sold for hundreds, thousands, and even more. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Imagine a single 1-cent coin tucked away in a drawer, forgotten in a piggy bank, or hiding in a roll of pennies at the bank. Now imagine that same penny, under the right circumstances, perfect condition, rare error, desirable mint mark, and a hungry group of collectors, fetching the jaw-dropping sum of $65,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $65,000 for 1 cent, one tiny piece of copper and zinc that someone likely spent without a second thought, now commanding a value that could buy you a luxury car, a down payment on a house, or even change the course of your financial future. So what can you do right now? Start looking. Search those old jars, those dusty coin albums, and those forgotten rolls of pennies. Look for the 2009 Lincoln pennies, examine the mint marks, and study the tiny details. It may take patience, but with the right eye and a little luck, you could uncover one of the rarest modern coins in circulation. Don't let that hidden gem go unnoticed. Your 1 cent might just be the treasure you've been waiting for. Today's episode is for you, the curious, the collector, the treasure hunter. Because the coin we're about to talk about might seem ordinary, but it's anything but. Today, we're diving into a coin that millions of people have held in their hands, most without realizing its hidden potential. It's small, copper-colored, and almost forgotten in the world of modern digital payments. But it holds a key to history, and possibly a small fortune. We're talking about the 1964 Lincoln penny. Now, 1964 might sound like just another year, but in the world of coin collecting, it's a milestone. This 1-cent coin minted by the United States Mint may look like every other Lincoln penny, but don't be fooled. Within this year and this design lie secrets that could turn an everyday coin into a rare and astonishing collector's piece. Let's begin with the basics. The 1964 penny features one of the most iconic figures in American history, Abraham Lincoln. His side profile has graced the 1-cent coin since 1909, when he became the first real person to appear on U.S. currency. The front of the coin, also known as the obverse, shows Lincoln facing right, wearing a calm but determined expression. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," and on the right, the date, 1964. And just below that date, on some coins, you'll see a tiny letter. A D. That's the Denver Mint mark. Now, here's where things start getting interesting. In 1964, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents at two main facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Philadelphia didn't carry a mint mark back then, while those struck in Denver were marked with a D just under the date. Between the two mints, billions, yes, billions, of these pennies were produced. So what makes one of them special? Why would a coin that exists in such huge numbers attract collectors from around the globe? It all comes down to a few powerful factors: condition, minting errors, and die varieties. And when the stars align, the result can be a coin worth a jaw-dropping sum. Let's talk condition first. Most 1964 pennies spent decades being passed from hand to hand. They bought sodas, newspapers, and chewing gum. They've been tossed in jars, lost in couch cushions, or forgotten in dresser drawers. That means the vast majority are scratched, worn, or oxidized, but on rare occasions, someone tucked away a coin fresh from the mint, untouched, uncirculated, and gleaming with its original copper-red luster. These pristine coins are known as mint state coins. Collectors grade these coins on a 70-point scale, and a 1964 penny that scores MS 66 or above is already valuable. If it's MS 67 or higher, now we're talking serious money. But there's more. Even more exciting than condition are the rare minting errors that slipped through quality control. In 1964, the mint was under immense pressure to produce coins quickly. The silver shortage was looming, coin hoarding was becoming a problem, and the U.S. government rushed to meet demand. And in that rush, mistakes happened. Some 1964 Lincoln cents feature double dies, a type of minting error where the coin was struck twice by the die, slightly misaligned. This results in doubled lettering, especially visible in Liberty, the motto, or the date. These double die errors are extremely collectible. Others feature off-center strikes, die cracks, or repunched mint marks. A repunched mint mark, or RPM, occurs when the mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different locations, an error that creates a shadow-like appearance under magnification. And then, there's one of the most exciting categories of all, transitional and experimental coins. Rumors swirl in the collector community about possible 1964 pennies struck on the wrong planchets, coins made from different metals than intended. These are often the result of a planchet, or coin blank, from a previous or different year being used by mistake. When authenticated, they are considered extremely rare and are sought after by serious collectors and museums alike. Now, let's not forget about proof coins. In 1964, proof coins were made in Philadelphia with a special striking process designed to produce high-detail, mirror-like coins. These were sold directly to collectors and weren't meant for circulation. They're beautiful coins, no doubt, but even within proof sets, sometimes minting anomalies or die varieties create unique specimens that skyrocket in value. So how do you know if you've got something special? First, examine the coin's color. Is it the rich, coppery red of a coin that hasn't aged much? That's a good sign. Next, look at the details. Can you see the lines in Lincoln's hair, or are they worn smooth? Use a magnifying glass to inspect the date and lettering. Is there any doubling? Any strange shadows around the D mint mark? Any letters that look distorted? A small difference that goes unnoticed by most people could be a golden ticket for you. In the past, collectors have scoured penny rolls, estate sales, and forgotten coin jars, and stumbled across tiny treasures worth far more than their face value. 1-cent coins turning into car payments. 1-cent coins turning into college funds. And now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. Some 1964 Lincoln pennies, particularly those struck in high-grade mint condition with rare errors or unusual characteristics, have commanded truly incredible prices in private sales and auctions. Imagine holding a single copper coin. A penny that millions ignored. A penny that you might have spent on candy, or left at the bottom of a piggy bank. Now imagine that same penny being valued at the astonishing sum of $98,000. That's right, $98,000 for one Lincoln cent from 1964. It's rare. It's real. And it could be sitting in your collection right now. So what are you waiting for? Check your change. Dig through your drawers. Ask your grandparents about their old coin jars. The treasure might be hiding in plain sight. And the next time someone tells you a penny isn't worth much, you can smile, because now you know the truth. Today, we're diving into something truly incredible. It's small. It's copper-colored. You've probably held it dozens of times without giving it a second thought. But what if I told you that a single coin, a 1-cent piece minted in the United States of America in the year 1977, could be worth a small fortune? That's right, we're talking about the 1977 Lincoln penny. The one that looks like every other penny in your change jar. The one that millions of people have spent, dropped, lost, or thrown into fountains without ever realizing that one of these could be a life-changing find. Today, We're peeling back the layers on this seemingly ordinary coin to uncover what makes it so special, how to spot the rare ones, and how a humble Lincoln cent could be worth far more than its face value. Let's begin with the basics. The 1977 Lincoln penny features one of the most iconic images in American numismatics, President Abraham Lincoln in profile, facing right. His image has been featured on the 1-cent coin since 1909, making it the longest-running portrait in U.S. coin history. Above him, the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left, the word "Liberty." And to the right of Lincoln's face? The year, 1977. Just below that date, on some coins, you might see a small letter. That's the mint mark, and it's one of the first clues to identifying how valuable your coin might be. Now, in 1977, the United States Mint produced these pennies at two major locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint, at the time, did not use a mint mark on pennies. If your 1977 penny has no letter below the date, it was struck in Philadelphia. If it has a small D mint mark, it came from the Denver Mint. Both mints produced these coins in large quantities. Philadelphia made well over 4 billion, and Denver added over 4.2 billion more. So yes, these coins are not rare because of how many were made. But within those billions of coins, some extraordinary examples were born. And that's where things get exciting, because hidden among all those copper coins are a few incredibly rare pieces that possess something special. Sometimes it's a tiny minting error. Sometimes it's a condition so flawless it looks like it came straight off the press yesterday. Sometimes it's something even stranger, a mystery planchet, a striking mistake, or a coin struck with unexpected precision. So how does a penny become a treasure? It comes down to three powerful factors: condition, errors, and uniqueness. Let's start with condition. Most of the 1977 Lincoln pennies you'll find today are worn, scratched, and tarnished. They've been used in circulation for nearly 50 years. But occasionally, a coin survives in mint state condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear from handling or use. These coins have sharp details, rich luster, and that fresh from the mint glow. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale. A mint state 60 is impressive, but a 65, 66, or even 67? That's where things get really valuable. Only a tiny fraction of coins survive in that kind of condition, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. Now, let's talk about errors, and this is where things really get interesting. The 1977 penny is known among collectors for a handful of fascinating and rare mint errors that dramatically increase a coin's value. One of the most talked about varieties is the double die, where the coin's design is struck twice, creating a slight but visible duplication in the lettering or date. Look closely at the word "Liberty" or the motto, "In God We Trust." If the letters look shadowed or slightly doubled, you might be holding a double die variety. Another error to look for is the off-center strike. In this error, the coin blank was not properly aligned when it was struck by the die. This results in a coin where part of the design is missing, often with a blank crescent along the edge. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, and how much of the design remains, these coins can be incredibly desirable. There's also the broad strike error, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to spread out and appear larger than normal. Some 1977 Lincoln pennies with this error have sold for hundreds, even thousands, at auction. Then there are the wrong planchet errors, rare but real. Occasionally, a penny is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, like a dime or foreign coin. These mismatched planchets create ultra-rare coins with the wrong weight, size, or metal composition, and collectors go wild for them. But here's the real kicker: rarity combined with perfect condition. That's the golden formula. Imagine finding a 1977 Lincoln penny that has a dramatic error, but is also in perfect mint state condition. That's the kind of coin that turns heads at auction houses, makes headlines in collector magazines, and winds up in the hands of serious investors. There are also 1977 proof coins that were struck at the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S. These coins were not intended for circulation. They were made for collectors, struck multiple times to bring out every tiny detail in stunning clarity. A flawless proof with an unusual variety could be worth far more than a regular coin, even though it's still just a penny. Here's something else worth knowing. Coins of this era were transitioning in composition. The 1977 Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, which gives it that distinctive reddish-brown hue. Just 5 years later, in 1982, the mint changed the formula to use mostly zinc and just a thin copper coating. That makes the 1977 penny one of the last full copper issues. It has a weight of 3.11 grams, and many collectors seek it out for that reason alone. The metal value, though not worth much on its own, adds to the appeal for those who love copper coins. So, how do you know if you have a valuable 1977 penny? Start with a magnifying glass. Look at the details. Examine the date, the mint mark, the edges. Is it clean and sharp, or worn and dull? Check the lettering. Do you see any doubling, cracks, or off-center features? If something looks unusual, take it seriously. A professional coin grading service can verify the authenticity, assign it a grade, and potentially give you the kind of documentation you'd need to sell it at auction. People have sold rare pennies from this very year for impressive amounts. And while not every coin is worth a fortune, there are a few lucky examples that are so rare, so well preserved, and so unusual that they become legends in the numismatic world. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, there exists, among the many billions of 1977 Lincoln cents, an ultra-rare variety. It's flawless in condition. It has a highly sought-after mint error. It was authenticated and sold to a private collector who had been looking for just such a specimen for years. That single penny, yes, a 1-cent coin, sold for a jaw-dropping $78,000, just imagine it. A single coin that most people would toss in a tip jar, overlooked and forgotten, transformed into a collector's treasure worth more than some luxury cars. That's the thrill of coin collecting. That's the magic of knowing what to look for. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a magnifying glass, check your change jars, raid those old coin rolls, and start hunting. Because one of those coins might just be your ticket to an unexpected fortune. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that millions of people have handled without even realizing its hidden potential. This isn't just a penny. It's a snapshot of America in 1976, a year of celebration, change, and yes, potentially great value. Let's take a long, careful look at the 1976 United States Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small piece of copper that might just be worth far more than you'd ever expect. Now, most people think pennies are just throwaway coins. You find them on the floor, in couch cushions, tossed in jars, or rattling around in your car's cup holder. But in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, every cent tells a story, and the 1976 Lincoln penny is no exception. First, let's set the stage. America, 1976. The bicentennial. 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It was a time of fireworks, red, white, and blue celebrations, and a strong wave of patriotism that swept across the nation. People were collecting coins, stamps, and memorabilia that reflected the spirit of the country's 200th birthday. And while quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins were specially minted with bicentennial designs, the penny kept its classic look. But don't let that fool you. The 1976 Lincoln penny, while it may not feature a special reverse design like its higher denomination cousins, carries with it a significance of its own, and in some cases, a hidden fortune. Let's talk about the design. On the front, or obverse, we see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right. This design, created by Victor David Brenner, has graced the front of the penny since 1909. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust." To his left, the word, "Liberty." To the right of Lincoln's profile, the date, 1976. And, just beneath that date, a small letter on some coins. That's the mint mark, one of the most important clues to your penny's potential value. So let's talk mint marks. In 1976, Lincoln pennies were struck at two primary mints, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins made in Philadelphia carry no mint mark at all. Meanwhile, those produced in Denver are marked with a small d just under the date. While billions of pennies were minted that year, each mint produced its own small set of anomalies, making some coins far rarer than others. So the first step? Check your penny for a mint mark. Does it have a D? That means it was minted in Denver. No mint mark? It came from Philadelphia. But don't stop there, because the next part is where things get really exciting. Let's talk about condition. Most 1976 pennies have seen decades of circulation. They've been through vending machines, kids' piggy banks, and thousands of cash registers. As a result, they're scratched, worn, and discolored. These are common and usually worth just face value. But a 1976 penny in mint state condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear, still has its original luster, and maintains all its tiny details, can be a completely different story. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with higher numbers reflecting better condition. An MS-60 is nice. MS-65? Now you're entering valuable territory. And an MS-67 or higher? That's where collectors start paying real attention, and real money. But even condition alone doesn't explain why some 1976 Lincoln pennies are considered treasure. There's a world of minting errors and die varieties that take a regular penny and elevate it to the status of legendary. During the minting process, countless things can go wrong. Machines can misalign, dies can shift, planchets can be the wrong size, the strike can be too light, or too hard. Each mistake creates something rare. Something unique. Something valuable. One of the most desirable varieties? Double die errors. Imagine the coin being struck twice, only slightly off alignment. The result? Letters or numbers that appear doubled, especially in the words, Liberty or, In God We Trust. Sometimes the date itself shows this doubling. These errors aren't easy to spot, but once you've seen one, you'll never forget it. And collectors go wild for them. Another popular error is the off-center strike, where the coin's image is not centered properly. This leaves a blank crescent on the coin's surface, giving it a truly unusual look. Depending on how much of the design is visible and how far off the strike was, this kind of error can command significant value. Next, there's the broad strike error, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, allowing it to expand and appear slightly larger and warped. Again, these are rare, and highly collectible. And then, there are the wrong planchet strikes. These happen when a penny is accidentally struck on a blank intended for a different coin, like a dime or even a foreign currency. These coins have incorrect weight, diameter, and sometimes an unexpected color. Spotting one requires a trained eye, or a lucky break. So, if you've got a 1976 penny, here's what you should be doing. Step 1, look at the mint mark. Is it a D? No mint mark at all. Step 2, check the condition. Is it shiny, with all the fine details intact? Step 3, use a magnifier. Check the lettering. Look at the date. Search for doubling. Inspect the edges. Does anything look off-center? Is the edge wider on one side than the other? And if anything seems unusual, take it seriously. Have it inspected. Get it graded. Because you could be holding something incredibly rare. Now here's the thing. Most 1976 pennies are worth just a cent. Maybe a few dollars if they're in really good condition. But that's not why you're here. You're here because every once in a while, a single coin stands out. It's a combination of perfect condition, rare error, and scarcity. It's a coin that passed through the mint unnoticed, slipped through millions of hands, and ended up in a collection, or in a drawer, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a little bit of luck. And in one case, that perfect storm came together. One specific 1976 Lincoln penny, struck with a rare die error, preserved in nearly flawless mint condition, and authenticated by a leading coin grading service, made its way to auction. Bidders fought for it. Collectors saw what it was. And it sold for the kind of price most people would never associate with a penny. That single 1-cent coin sold for $70,000. Yes, you heard that right. $70,000. For a penny. That's not a myth. That's the magic of numismatics. That's why collectors spend years combing through coin rolls, searching jars, and attending auctions. Because sometimes, a tiny, copper-colored coin from the past is worth far more than anyone ever imagined. So go check your collection. Look through your pocket change. That 1976 penny could be the key to a hidden fortune. Today's episode could very well change the way you look at your pennies forever. Because believe it or not, that small, copper-colored coin in your pocket might not be just 1 cent, it could be the key to a serious payday. That's right, we're zooming in on a coin that you've probably handled dozens of times without a second thought. It's simple, unassuming, and often overlooked. But the 1975 Lincoln penny is not just a piece of spare change, it's a potential collector's jackpot, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And by the time you finish this video, that person could be you. Let's take a journey back to 1975. The Vietnam War had just ended. Gas was under $1. Technology was just beginning to stir in garages across California. And in the middle of it all, the United States Mint was quietly producing billions of pennies, each bearing the face of Abraham Lincoln, each intended to serve as the smallest denomination in America's currency system. But somewhere, among those billions, a few very special coins were born. A few with mistakes. A few that were preserved in flawless condition. A few that would go on to become worth far more than anyone could imagine. Let's start with the basics. The 1975 Lincoln penny features the long-standing portrait of President Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which has been in use since 1909. Above Lincoln's head is the phrase, "In God We Trust." On the left side of the coin, the word "Liberty." On the right, the date, 1975. Now, just beneath that date, you might notice a small letter. This is what's known as the mint mark, and it tells you where the coin was made. In 1975, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln cents at 2 main facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. If your 1975 penny has no mint mark at all, it was made in Philadelphia. If you see a tiny D under the date, your penny was produced in Denver. These tiny differences can make a big impact when it comes to value, but they're just the beginning of the story. While both mints produced enormous numbers of these pennies, billions, in fact, not all 1975 pennies are created equal. Among the flood of circulating coins, a few escaped the factory with slight imperfections. A few were struck in ways never intended. And a few were tucked away by collectors, never used, never touched, and never worn. Those are the coins we're hunting for. Let's talk about condition first. In the coin world, condition is everything. Most 1975 pennies you'll find today are scratched, discolored, and dulled by decades of circulation. But every so often, you'll come across one that looks almost new, as though it was just struck yesterday. These are called mint state coins. They show no signs of wear, retain their original red copper color, and exhibit sharp, crisp details across Lincoln's hair, coat, and the lettering around the edge. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, where MS 60 is the entry point for mint state, and MS 70 represents perfection. A 1975 penny graded MS 65 or higher becomes extremely collectible. But a 1975 penny in MS 67, MS 68, or better? Now you're entering the realm of serious value, but it's not just about condition. It's also about errors. The 1975 penny is known among collectors for several striking varieties and minting mistakes that can dramatically boost its worth. These are the coins that slipped past quality control and turned into hidden gems. One of the most famous types is the double die penny. In these coins, a slight misalignment during minting causes the coin's design to be imprinted twice. The most obvious doubling usually appears in the word "Liberty," the motto, "In God We Trust," or even the date itself. Under magnification, the doubling is clear, and highly valuable. Next up, we have off-center strikes. In this error, the penny is not properly aligned in the machine when it's struck, so part of the design is missing and replaced by a blank, crescent-shaped area. The more dramatic the misalignment, while still keeping the date visible, the more desirable the coin becomes. Another exciting error to look for is the broadstrike, a coin that was struck without the restraining collar, allowing the metal to expand beyond the normal edge. These pennies look slightly larger and flatter than usual, and their unique shape makes them highly collectible. There's also the possibility of the wrong planchet error. In rare cases, a 1975 penny was accidentally struck on a blank meant for a different coin, like a dime, a foreign denomination, or even a transitional metal from another year. These mistakes are exceedingly rare, and if authenticated, can command sky-high prices. But wait, there's more. In addition to regular strikes and errors, there's also something called proof coins. These are specially made coins struck with polished dies and planchets, creating mirror-like finishes and extra sharp detail. In 1975, proof Lincoln cents were produced at the San Francisco Mint, and these can be identified by an S Mint mark. While these were sold in collector sets and not meant for circulation, some still appear in circulation today due to broken sets or estate sales. If you find a 1975 S-proof penny in flawless condition, or one with a rare error, you're looking at a potential windfall. So what should you do if you have a 1975 penny? Start by checking the mint mark. Then look closely at its condition. Is it scratched, worn, or dull? Or does it have a bright, reddish sheen with clean lines and full detail? Then, take a magnifying glass and examine the lettering. Look for doubling, misalignments, or unusual shapes. Is the edge smooth and uniform, or irregular and wide? Does anything seem off about the size or weight? If you find something unusual, don't dismiss it. You could be holding a one-of-a-kind error. You could be looking at a penny that's never been touched, stored for decades, waiting to be discovered, and if it looks like something special, get it graded. Send it to a professional coin grading service for authentication and certification. A certified grade turns a guess into a guarantee, and serious collectors are much more likely to pay top dollar for verified coins. Here's the part that will blow your mind. Among the millions of 1975 pennies in circulation, there are a select few, very select, that combine high mint state condition, rare errors, and impeccable timing. These coins are the unicorns of the numismatic world. And when they go to auction, they don't sell for a few bucks. One of these legendary 1975 Lincoln pennies, struck with a dramatic error and preserved in remarkable condition, was discovered, authenticated, and sold at a major auction house, and that single penny, yes, the coin most people wouldn't bother to pick up off the street, was purchased for an astounding $74,500. Just imagine, 1 cent turning into a 5-figure payout. This isn't fantasy. This is the real-world magic of coin collecting. It's history, mystery, and treasure hunting all rolled into a tiny piece of copper you might already owe. So go check those coin jars. Dig into that drawer filled with change. Ask your grandparents about their old penny rolls. Because that 1975 Lincoln cent could be worth far, far more than you think. And if you loved this story, make sure to give us a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because more incredible coin discoveries are coming your way. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest surprises.